We're ready. Okay, welcome all to, yeah, I guess we are ready. Welcome all to the August 7th meeting of the Board of Water and Sewer Commissioners. I do have to advise everyone that this meeting is being recorded, and we start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Minutes from July 10th.
Chairman, I make a motion we accept the minutes as written.
Second, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, there's a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous. All right. Reorganization. I know Sean was unable to come today. He's not feeling well. But typically we waited for 5. If folks want to reorganize tonight, we can. Want to wait another month, we can. What's folks does anybody have a?
Make a motion to keep you as chairman if you want the job. Unless you want to wait, don't get a second.
Yeah, I don't know if anybody else is interested in.
I'm not interested.
Okay.
I'm good.
We can.
Second that? Okay.
Motion's been made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Unanimous. Okay, vice chair. Do we have anybody who wishes to do that? Or anybody, any nominations?
Anybody want it?
No.
I mean, I'll do it if nobody wants it.
Thank you.
Motion that we nominate Justin as vice chair.
Second.
Okay, motion's been made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Unanimous. And clerk. There really isn't a whole lot to clerk in.
Except for next month when I'm not here.
Except for when when Jen goes on one of her many vacations.
Yes, yep, definitely.
Many vacations. All right, that's the way I do it as well.
The new guy without him here?
That's what you get for.
Can we hold
forgetting
off on
sick.
that one, Mr. Chairman, until he shows up?
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. I took the minutes and reorganization out of order. Okay, number 5, Brian Richard, water complaints. I'm assuming that's you. Yeah, come up to the table, please, and please sign in on the sheet that's there so that we have written record of folks who speak during our meetings. Makes it easier when we put everything to put our minutes together.
Should I put my home address or the address of the house that I'm here about?
It would be,
His home, because I know what.
yeah,
Address?
yeah, because you're the one that's speaking. And then- This is concerned, what number? Number 5?
There's 4, there's
Okay, 4 addresses.
4 different addresses. One has multiple, all the emails are in your.
Yes, we do have all the emails.
That we sent back and forth in GEG.
Okay, so you're here today because you're continuing to have issues.
Yeah, I own the property at 21 George Street, which is on the corner of Warsaw Ave. For the last year, I've been having a really bad time with iron in the water over there. Brian's been out to the house quite a few times. I kind of went through the process of continuing to tell the people that live there, you know, it's going to clear up once the new mains are hooked up, because I had several conversations with the engineers that were on site, and along with the water department, of multiple trips and phone calls, and the orange in the water continued all the way through, and then when the new main was hooked up, I thought that it would clear up after that, and it's still having issues with the water color is dark orange. I had a plumber install a filter onto the house to try to alleviate the problem for the people that live there. And the water, I don't know if you've seen, I've dropped off a bunch of pictures to Jennifer. I went and changed it today. The water is coming into the house is still the color of a sweet potato. Last week or 2 weeks ago when I changed it, it had a lot of sediment in the bottom, maybe about 3 tablespoons, look like coffee grounds in the bottom of the filter. Today it was clear of sediment, but the water is still very, very dark. And I don't know what else I've talked to Jen a bunch of times, and she said this was the next course of action, that they had done everything that they had to do. This is what color the water filter looked like today after about 3 weeks of being in there, 2 weeks. I forget when the last time I changed it. I'm changing it at a minimum once a month, sometimes 2 times a month. When I first paid to have the filter put in, the plumber was still there and the filter clogged within 5 minutes because there was so much iron in the line. That was prior to the new main being hooked up, but that's just a little bit of piece of what I've been going through for the last year. And I know Brian went out a few weeks ago, he did a test of the water coming out of the hose, but the water coming out of the hose is post-filter. So the water coming into the filter is making that filter orange. And it's clear coming out of the hose, but that's not what's coming into the house. And I've added up, kind of accumulated between the problem with the discoloration and the flooding that's coming into the house. Second part of my problem over there is Warsaw Ave. If you look up Warsaw, the road is tilted this way. So all the water from the Dudley condominiums and from Warsaw runs down the left side of the road and then into the driveway of the house. And I had problems with it flooding the driveway, flooding the basement every time it rained. I added a bunch of dirt to the ground to try to divert it back into the driveway. When I bought the house in 2018, it was flooding the basement every time it rained. I had Mason Paving put a new driveway in. He put a berm at the end of the driveway to keep the water into the road. That worked. Then when the road was dug for the new pipes, they cut 2.5, 3 feet into the driveway, cutting my berm off, and then they put a flat driveway back in and kind of trumpeted the end of the driveway with the curb. So now all the rain comes down the road and goes right into my driveway, brings all this residue from the street and from the condos, washes down my driveway into the landscaping at the end of the driveway, washes all the landscaping off the retaining wall and into the backyard, to the point where when we have a heavy rain like we had last night, I'll have 4 or 5 inches of water in the backyard because it just dumps off the wall like a waterfall. I haven't spoken to the neighbors behind me, but I know that I was told that they were getting problems with their basement getting flooded and they had to put in a pump, because every time it rained, they're getting flooded, and I think it's the water coming off of Warsaw washing out my driveway. It's totally washed away the lawn to where we've had to bring dirt in. The tenant that lives there has actually tried to refill the dirt that's been washed away. my stone wall, the retaining wall for that in the back of the driveway, it's washed out all the dirt from underneath the stone wall. It's just, it's not corrected. They came back and they added a slight berm to the end of the driveway. But when there's a heavy rain, it's just not enough. And all the water that's coming down Warsaw is dumping into my driveway, and it's washing everything away, and it's flooding everything. I still, from time to time in heavy rains, if the drain pipe isn't in the right position, I'll still get water in the basement over there because there's just so much water coming down the driveway. But I think that would be alleviated with an addition of some added asphalt at the end of the driveway to get it back to where it was before that part was cut out. Certainly that's not the issue with the color. I kind of have a twofold problem at that house with the water that I've been dealing with for a year now. I kind of did a quick rundown, and I'm over like $1,200 into filters and the filter system and pumps from the basement getting flooded every time it rained. And it's at the point where I dread the rain coming because I know I'm gonna get flooded. And they have tried to alleviate the problem, and it just isn't enough. As far as the discoloration of the water, I don't know what's causing that and what can be done. I've been told that they can't flush the lines. We tried flushing the lines before. We had the garden hose hooked up to my basement spigot, and we ran that for almost 2 days straight, and it never really cleared up. It continues to be orange, and like I said, in the filter, it's almost to the point where it's dark orange to almost brown. And luckily the filter is catching it. Last year I had pictures, and I think I showed Brian a bunch of the pictures. Just the toilets, the tubs, the silverware, everything's orange. The tenants don't drink the water. Down at number 4 Brandon, which we also own, they don't do the laundry at their house because they say the water comes out orange. She sent me a bunch of pictures before of, she had done a load of whites and they all came out ruined. She's like, I had to throw all my clothes away. I've been told by other people at the water department that those 2 houses are at the end of the line. I know you had mentioned George Street definitely was. 4 Brandon Road, I don't know how bad the problem down there isn't as bad as 21. I don't have a filter on that house. So I'm not seeing the accumulation of iron and sediment that's coming in. But on George Street, I had added that. It was $500 and something to have a plumber add that filter to the whole house. And I'm finding myself over there sometimes twice, 3 times a month. Whenever I'm there for some reason, I'll look at the filter and it's disgusting looking, and I'll change it while I'm there. And I'm changing filters at a minimum once a month, sometimes 2-3 times a month.
Is there any way to flush the lateral from the street to the house? Can we get a hose or something on
Yeah, I can tap onto the connection inside the house.
the connection with the filter?
His original problem was, during the construction, they brought the new main, or they left the old main just teed right after Warsaw, because he was teed on George Street. So the water flowing was coming down George, down Warsaw to feed the neighborhood, but he was that dead-end line. There's,
Yeah.
I believe it's a 6-inch, there is nothing you can never flush it well enough out of a garden hose. All you can do is hope you get most of it out. That was the weekend, I'd said just run it for the weekend to get most of it out. Once they connected, you'd assume that it would clean up because we have brand-new pipes. As for the filters and stuff in the house, I've always encouraged people to have a GAC filter regardless. I mean, to take out the chlorine that I have to legally put in. I mean, I'm not a huge fan of it myself.
Oh, I hate it.
On the berm side, what happened from what I...
As far as the lateral itself, is it possible to attach to the lateral where the filter is?
You would just take off.
and then just run it outside?
I have fittings that go right onto where the meter is and just run a hose from there.
Okay,
What's the service line?
What?
What type of service line is it?
I believe they changed it to a 1 inch, a 1 reduced down to a 3/4.
Is it copper, iron, plastic?
I can't remember.
I was wondering if there's just a slug of crud that's stuck in that lateral that just is never gonna filter out. Because you're never gonna get enough draw through the house if it could just be run from the street right out, you know, like right out a cellar window and right out into the,
You just run it out the back. I've had to run out from through there, out of the basement before.
run out
So,
of the basement, okay.
That'd be the best way to get isolated just to that point.
And just make sure that the from the street to the house is clear. Is it possible?
Yes, I can put a fitting on that and try to go from there, but the discoloration and stuff in there, I can't attest to when and how often he changes it, but that is typical biofilm that you'll find in a water line. As for the sediment and maybe the leftover residual things that were just in line and that it finally caught it, because that could happen. We've had that happen in our main lines, like just a little thing, it finally releases, and that's where you get all the pebbles and whatnot.
Right.
But
Maybe there's some of that, maybe there's still some of that sitting in that.
either that or it's,
And you're not ever gonna draw enough to be able to draw all of that out.
it could be a manganese flex, or, I can't remember the last time George flushed the area, but I believe it was in April-ish,
Might have been a little bit later, but
a
yeah.
little later, yeah, so.
Right around the end of the construction. So,
Let's start with that, Mr. Chairman, if we could flush that lateral, see if it cleans it up.
because we're not getting complaints from anybody else up in that neighborhood. It leads me to believe that maybe the lateral itself, the lateral, you know what I'm talking about by
The
lateral?
connection from the main to the house.
The
is that
main
what
to
you're
the house,
talking
the
about?
pipe to the house.
Yeah.
Maybe if that's a 1 inch, maybe it's sitting half full of
It's,
sediment that is just gonna draw little by little as water flows through.
prior to the construction last August, prior to it starting, the water was always clear over there. I never had any issues. When it started, when you came over, last summer, it was a lighter orange, darker orange color all the time. Since the attachment to the new main, which is in front of the house, it's gotten darker since then. That's where these real dark filters come in. Like I said, there was no sediment when I changed it today. There was nothing on the bottom. It was just,
Was it sediment or was it like little black flecks?
like I said, it looked like wet coffee grounds in the bottom. But it was only the one time.
Yeah.
Whatever the last day that I went to talk to Jennifer at the town, down the hall, it was like probably 3 tablespoons of that sediment in it. And today was clear. The times before that, a little bit, couple flakes here and there. There was just that one time where there was a lot. But it's only really gotten darker since,
Can you get enough pressure through the lateral with nothing attached to it? Just a hose?
To flush that minor.
Flush that
line, but
that's
it's
a
not
1
gonna-
inch line.
If there's stuff right there sitting in the pipe, that's not to be enough, volume and velocity to pull it out of there. No. My other thought right now just was because on our transmission main from well 1 over to the treatment plant, we found gates that were partially opened, and not completely open and whatnot. Maybe if there's a gate over there that is partially closed, it's having a buildup and it's releasing every once in a while. And he's a multifamily. He's going to draw more water typically than the others. But
yeah, that house uses quite a bit of water. And, I mean, it was a little bit clearer today than it has been, but certainly not
No, it should be,
to what looks acceptable if you were to look at your water filter at home.
right?
Well, are you saying the water or the water filter?
I'm looking at, that's what my water filter looks like every month.
A water filter will do that if it collects any iron at all, and the amount of chlorine he's adding, you're gonna oxidize the iron out of any water. So anyone that has filters on a water line is gonna, the filter's gonna look like that. But what's the water look like coming out of it? And that's what the filter's designed to do. If you're thinking you're gonna have a white filter and leave it in there for a month and it's gonna stay white, I don't care what water system you put it on, that's not gonna happen. Especially with the levels of chlorine that he has to add. If you add, chlorine is an oxidizer, it's gonna oxidize any iron in the water, and it's gonna get it to catch on that filter. If you have an iron treatment system, you chlorinate before to oxidize the iron, so the filter will take the iron out of the water, which is exactly what your filter's doing. It's the whole purpose of a filter, that's what it's designed to do.
How's the water coming out of the tap?
Well, with the filter on, I don't get complaints like, I don't get complaints now like I was before the new main got hooked up.
Right.
But with all new pipes, I didn't think that, you know, my water would look like dirt. You know, and I put a new filter on it today, and probably by tomorrow it will be brown.
It'll be brown, but
Brown
the water
and
coming out
orange.
of it is clear. It's like I said, when you oxidize iron in water with chlorine, it's gonna oxidize, and it's gonna look like that on anything.
Gotta wait until, yeah, well, yeah.
And if you have a filter, you should change it monthly regardless, whether it look white or this color. You should change it monthly, because that just breeds bacteria.
Start with trying to flush the line, see if anything.
See what's coming out, see what's coming through. Is it coming through brown, or is stuff catching and oxidizing in the filter?
Yeah, we can do that. Is there a spot to grab water before the filter?
What?
Is there a spigot or anything before the filter?
I don't know, I haven't been in there since he's installed that.
You're gonna flush it before the filter?
I have fittings that changed the meter to a hose bib, so I can
So
just
you
run
take it right off
from there.
going into the
Yeah.
meter, put a hose on it, run it outside, see what's coming through.
They just won't have any water for a while.
See, yeah,
Well,
for
that's-
that little bit of time, see what's coming out of it. Is it coming out brown, or is it turning brown in the filter?
You're gonna need to coordinate with him to let his tenants know that they're gonna be without water for a couple hours, for about how long?
Me. They'll coordinate through the office, and we'll set it up.
She runs the calendar.
Yep.
And so, I understand after leaving the filter on for a long time, it's gonna be discolored. The two houses at the end are definitely, I mean, I get text messages constantly about, like I said, the house, the number 4, they won't do laundry, they won't drink the water. The George Street house, the same thing, they were buying bottled water, they're complaining about the orange coming through. Like I said, since I, spent $600 on a filter, I don't get the complaints anymore, and I'm constantly changing the filters. And when I say once a month, I mean, I shouldn't have to change my filter 2-3 times a month to try to get it to
No.
where I can even see the filter. I mean, I have a filter on my house at home, granted it's a well, but I can let that go for a month and it's still crystal clear at the end of the day. And I get it, it's old pipes. 29 Brandon Road, a few months ago, I had a shower repair. The water was shut down for an hour while the shower was repaired, and then when the water came back on, the water came out dark orange for probably 3-4 minutes before it finally cleared up. And that's not from like construction in the road and getting the sediment. That's just from me shutting the house down for a couple minutes and letting that build up. And then once it came back on, it all came out orange.
Well, that's because when you change the shower or whatever else, you drain the system, so there was no head pressure against it. So when you open that back up, there was a change in velocity and volume that stirred up what was left in the pipe. That's why we flush outside in the mains. You mean, because as it runs constant, it runs through the center of the pipe, and a biofilm stays on the outside. So when you do things like that, I would expect for the first 3 minutes that you're gonna have a discoloration in the water. I mean, that's a normal occurrence.
Okay.
That's to be
As long as
expected.
it clears up and,
Right, but a matter of it needing, but like when you say, like, when if it needs a flush, that's what I had asked, and I was told that we couldn't do a flush.
Because flushing, in all honesty, I mean, we'll go there and we'll try to see if there's anything that's left over in your line. But when you have a 6-inch main out in the street, the volume of water that you can pull through that hose without a pumping system or anything else like that isn't really gonna do anything unless there was something just in that line that you're hoping that, like when you turn off the shower, it's gonna release coming in, and that's the hope on that, so.
Like the 2 days that you ran the garden hose into the
Yep.
bucket at George Street, and at the end of the 2 days, so it's a little off color, a little rusty color. But then once you go back to normal water usage, it had gone right back to, you know, my dishes are all orange, my tub is orange, my toilet's orange, my laundry's orange. I had to buy them orange out, iron out to get stuff, to get the iron cleaned out of the tubs.
wondering, is there some stuck in the lateral? I don't know.
There could be, but not for the volume.
Because the rest of the
discoloration.
neighborhood, I mean, we're not getting complaints from the rest of the neighborhood.
So, I mean, we can try that. I have no problem trying that. I mean,
Like I was
If we're getting
told.
complaints from a bunch of different people, well, then we've got a problem in the mains or something like that. But
as for number 4, unfortunately, it's owning in a house in a bad, not the most ideal spot on a water line. You can't properly flush it. You're on a dead end. There's not a lot of flow
There's no-
to turn over and whatnot.
hydrant on that
I
dead
mean,
end?
out of all your houses, I would have advised you straight out, if you're gonna put one someplace, is to put it on that one to relieve yourself.
A filter.
Yeah, I mean, just because, what's it, maybe 6 houses over there on the water line? I
Oh,
believe.
on that,
In
between
that little
Schofield
stretch.
and Chase.
And I believe it's a 6-inch, and even granted, they're multifamilies, you're not gonna be able to effectively draw enough water there that you're not gonna get stagnant water, which will then cause discoloration.
And I've gone over and I took a sample out of the garden hose at 4.
Yep.
And the water was clear.
Yeah.
But when I talked to the tenants on the first floor, they're like, we haven't done laundry here since, you know, we moved in because the water's orange. And she said, I came home one night, I had to do a load, I put it in, I got up in the morning and the clothes were all ruined. And she sent me pictures, and unfortunately, you can't really see in the pictures, you know, she's taken pictures of white shirts and stuff, and you can't tell in the photographs, but,
Well, if they're also not using those lines in the house, there is gonna be, it's gonna settle. And so when you turn it back on, it's gonna disturb it again.
I get that. And I know that, I don't know if it's got any connection with the other construction that was going on over there, and I know there was a break at one point, and then,
Those all
Is that on
do
Bran-
affect things.
Where is that on Brandon?
It is the,
Almost where Hill Street is.
Fort Brandon is right before the stop sign, before the bridge. It's the white 2-family?
Oh, down,
Yeah, down
below
there, yeah.
Schofield Ave.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Heading down
almost
towards
to
the
Chase.
bridge.
Yeah, almost to Chase.
yeah, towards the bridge.
It's the second one. after
Yeah,
Chase.
I just lost my train of thought on that one. Do you know when, was that during a flushing time though also, when she did?
The day that she texted me and complained the most, like, I've gotten pretty consistent, the water is terrible, the water's terrible, the water's terrible. The day she ruined her clothes was like a day or two after I think there was a break in the middle of the night, and I think I had no water. Everybody woke up in the morning, they had no water, and there was a break somewhere, or there was a plant shutdown or something overnight that nobody knew about. And then I think that's the night that
Then the
she
GEG shut down.
unfortunately decided to do a load of laundry. But they said they got no notice that there was a planned shutdown. As the homeowner, I didn't get a notice that there was a planned shutdown. So I don't know how the notifications go out for that.
It's on
Raves
the
did go
website,
out,
and
yeah.
I would suggest and advise, and hope you do, sign up for the text alerts. We don't get the phone calls, they're annoying, but the text alerts will at least, we probably use it by far the most.
Absolutely.
To advise everybody.
Well, I know I have it text, email, and telephone, and it
There's a-
drives me nuts. And when
there's a link
when they
on the
go out,
screen.
because everything blows up. But, and they don't blow up at the same time. They blow up, 30 seconds away from each other, so it's just,
But yeah,
I
anybody.
get it.
And everybody
I keep it
listening.
just to make sure that.
It's on the town website, you go to the water department, and there's a link, and actually believe it on other different departments, it's right there on the front
main page, I
main
believe,
page.
of
It's a
the
great tool,
website.
I mean, just so you know.
It's not just us. The fire department has something going out, or any other department has something going out, they'll let you, it goes out to everybody.
The tenants can sign up too, it doesn't have to just be
Right.
the owner, so.
Yeah,
But, yeah, to make sure folks get notified. It's hard in a town like this.
Bless you.
to wrap back,
I'll be honest, there's been stuff going on up at Shepherd Hill, and I find out about it when the student representative at the selectmen's meeting is talking about how it was really good, how attendance was really good. Well, if I had known about it, I might have gone. How do you get information out in a small town with no press?
And I mean, I've been trying to be very diplomatic about it with the people that live in these houses.
Sure.
And I'm fielding a lot of questions and a lot of text messages and a
Right.
lot of complaints and a lot of expenses. And I keep saying, don't worry, it'll clear up, it'll clear up. And it doesn't seem to be clearing up. The issues with the flooding, I don't know when there's a plan to finish paving Warsaw Ave.
that's the finished payment. So I did a walkover over there, and what from I could surmise is the crown on the road was previous to our water main was fairly steep. Like if you ran up there, you'd have to run in the middle of the road, otherwise you'd be limping or you'd hurt your health. It was steep. And he previously had an apron that was appropriate for that slope on the crown. When they paved it and it was engineered, it got returned to a better grade,
Got flattened out a bit.
flattened. And that's where a lot of his came from, in the driveway. In the driveway on the little garage there, I'm gonna say that's on you, you know?
Yeah, no,
That one needs to be done from there and kick on.
Yeah, I'm not saying anything about the garage at this point, because there was a berm in front of that garage prior to the construction that held the water back.
Yeah, and then that got brought down to the actual exact level.
Someone came and added, a crude berm, but appropriate to the little parking space.
Yes.
And I get it, and I know that the driveway there is a little lower than the road.
Yeah, unfortunately, that's a.
Yeah, no, I totally understand
I spoke
that.
with, I can't remember her name.
Christina.
Yeah, I said, she had things there, I'm like, that's actually working against you, you wanna,
Well, the
bring it up.
reason she put those things at the end of the driveway, because that area was getting flooded. All the water was washing away that whole hill next to the shed. It washed all the dirt out from that part of the lawn to the point where all the tree roots were showing. She brought in bags of fill and topsoil to refill that, as a tenant, great on her. But it washed away the whole hill because there's thousands of gallons of
Yeah.
water coming in. And we had,
Coming off the road,
she didn't
yeah.
have I would have personally bermed it with like a bags or whatever else, let the grass set, and the grass is the best thing to divert a lot of the water. But on the other one, Gil did go back, because we had a problem with that hydrant on the raw water line, and while I was there, he gave him a little bit more of an apron, and that was just
yeah,
last
the
week or so.
the only water that seems to be in that area now, I guess, is what's coming, straight down from the rain.
Yep.
It's collecting in there like a pool now.
Yeah.
In the corner.
Yeah.
And, I totally get you guys did what you could to try to fix that, and I know that it's a inferior part of the driveway. But the other driveway was brand new. That driveway I had put in, it was $5,000 to put that driveway in to get the top 3 feet of it cut off, and then to get the basement flooded every time it rained, was the
This goes down onto the construction
The
stuff.
result.
I personally don't know the rules and the laws concerning, I know that there's easements, we have the right to change the grade of the road to the best suit the town. And it did bring it back to a better grade on the road where it wasn't so
But
dramatic.
is the berm at the top of the driveway less than it used to be.
It was, and Gil went back and put another little apron there, and we had.
Well, if it just has if it just has a gentle rain, a normal rain, it's enough to hold it back. Obviously, I get it when we have, you know, a torrential downpour or 3 inches of rain, but I still don't think that my house should be responsible for taking all the runoff for Dudley condominiums in Warsaw Ave. I don't,
Is that and I'm not trying to deflect, but is that our concern or is that highway? It's roadway. I know we changed the elevations of the road, but,
But you said you had the flooding problem back in 2018.
prior to having the new driveway
You did a
put in.
driveway to fix that.
Yeah, because he put
Right.
a generous enough berm on the end of the driveway to hold the water
but
back.
there's not enough of a berm now.
Right.
And if the same berm was put back with the elevation of the road, is it gonna cause a problem with low cars?
I don't think so. Nobody, obviously, no one living there now has a low enough car. I mean, I have a low car that can't get in there, but I don't live there.
Right.
You can't get in there now?
I couldn't get in there now with a low car. I mean, I have a Corvette that would scrape if I tried to drive into that. It's not an excessive height. Like I plow snow, I could plow that and I wouldn't be running into it at this point. Do I think it needs to be, you know, maybe an inch higher towards the road? Probably would hold more of the water back, because it, like I said, I have video of it from sitting in the car, watching the water come down Warsaw and just bang a right and go right into the driveway. And then it just rushes down the driveway, off the retaining wall into the backyard, fills the backyard up with water. And like I said, it's totally eroding all the ground away at the bottom of the retaining wall. The tenant, again, went and put a bunch of rocks at the bottom of the retaining wall to try to hold the ground back. But it's washing all the dirt away. The concrete is starting to crumble out of the stone wall because of it. Certainly, that's gonna be an upcoming expense for me to get filled before the retaining wall falls down. But the water has to stop overflowing over that. I mean, it's literally coming over like a dam.
Can I ask you this? Does anybody from GEG ever contact you?
Who's that?
The contractor, the construction.
that is-
I've spoken to 2 different engineers from there. I've driven over there during the road construction.
No, but
a
since
dozen
whenever
times.
you sent a couple,
Emails.
email chains.
No, I haven't heard from anyone since then.
And I've sent them to, but I've sent them to the engineers and GEG, and I know it was discussed in one of your meetings.
Right.
We have a meeting.
Well, a month or two ago.
we do have-
One of our monthly meetings.
Correct.
Yes.
The last monthly
We
meeting.
do
it
have a
was
punch list and a
discussed.
We
closing
have a
meeting
punch
tomorrow.
list meeting tomorrow, right? Yeah.
Yes, 10 a.m.
So I would add that to the list.
Okay, because, yeah, that should be, if the water is coming into the driveway more now than before the construction, then that needs to be put back.
It definitely is. Then-
Okay.
Gil should have a pre-construction.
Video, yeah, what they're supposed to do is they're supposed to go the length of the construction area and videotape and record it all.
I have a copy.
What's it look like now? What's it look like before? And then when they finish, what's it look like then? Just so that disputes like this can be
And I-
adjudicated. But
And I'm not saying that
if you
they
weren't
didn't-
getting water before and you're getting it now, then it needs to be fixed.
Yeah, no, I'm not saying that they didn't try to fix it. I just don't think
It
what
hasn't
they
been fixed
did was
enough.
Just
sufficient.
asking for a little bit more.
Yeah.
Okay. so that's
Like,
fixed
just
enough.
to be clear.
And they'll be doing
Like
that.
an inch or 2 more, or like,
Well, I mean, certainly, I don't know what the professional height would be to have an appropriate berm. I don't want it to be to the point where,
Can't get a car in.
I can't get a car in if these people move out and somebody comes in with a regular car and they're, scraping their skid plate every time they come in and out of the house. I don't want that. And I know the undertaking of changing the grade of the road is a huge thing. But something has to get in the middle somewhere. All I'm asking for is another attempt maybe to heighten that berm up to try to keep the water out from destroying the rest of the yard and and the landscaping, and the
meeting?
driveway.
And then we've got Debbie coming through this weekend, so we don't know I don't know what's gonna come with that. We got a lot of rain this week.
Yeah, no, Friday and Thursday, Friday, Saturday or something, we're supposed to get a huge
Friday, Saturday.
amount of
Yeah,
rain.
it keeps
said it
moving west. I'm
moved.
hoping it keeps moving west, because
You
I
and
get
me.
water in my basement when
You and me
with
both.
heavy rain.
I mean, I had, part of these expenses is going out, like, I heard you talking about going to Home Depot and buying a pump. I was at Home Depot buying pump after pump and hose after hose, and I was over there every time it rained, pumping 3 inches of water out of the basement. And certainly that's, you know,
Oh, yeah.
that's a problem.
Is that supposed to be coming through Saturday morning?
Yes.
Yes,
Friday.
Friday night to Saturday morning.
I can see if Timmy can, on his way in to check the station, just take a drive-by and hopefully we can see the volume of water and go from that. It's gonna be substantial, but, hopefully that's just a very heavy rainstorm for us. It's,
That's what it looks like.
but so,
I'm concerned about the
we
wind.
can gauge it
And I
by
mean,
that
like,
maybe.
like if you know where the driveway is, that section of the lawn, we added a bunch of dirt there
Yep.
because the water was coming down before, and it was filling up that whole side of the lawn, next to the house, between the house and Warsaw. It was filling that up and just going right through the fieldstone foundation into the
We'll
basement.
address that with the general contractor for that project. We have a meeting with them tomorrow morning, so,
You're gonna look at trying to
And-
flush his lateral,
and
right?
try to flush the lateral and
Yeah,
see if
I'll-
see what's coming out before the, before the filter.
Your tenant there, she's there a bunch during.
They're
I just need to get into this.
pretty
One of us just
consistently.
needs to get in the
The
cell.
basement's, it's unlocked all the time. You can go in through the.
I don't wanna say that on TV.
not- well, If you go in through the house, I don't think anybody's watching this meeting, so,
Well, you'd be surprised.
We
We
may
get
find
phone
out.
calls and we get,
do you?
oh, yeah. It's usually a day or two later.
If you don't have a problem with that, then we'll,
No, but I certainly would be more than happy to meet you over there
Right.
if you wanted to give me.
I was,
If you'd want
I was
to.
gonna suggest that would be a good idea, so that both of you can see this is what's coming out of the pipe
Yeah,
before the filter.
and,
We'll
and
talk tomorrow morning about a good day for you, and then I'll reach out to him and see if it works.
okay.
if
And
I,
that way we can,
yeah.
is it normal filter wear, or is there something more going on?
Yeah. If I could just add one more third arm to this whole situation with that house. A Couple weeks ago, I had, and I spoke to Jennifer about this. Within a week, I had the first floor toilet water raising and bubbling over the toilet. The second time when I had to call, it was a Friday afternoon, I had to call the police department to have the on-call guy from the sewer department come out. Because the tenants called, they said, oh, they had been digging in front of the house all week. I think it was for that fire hydrant that's there. They were digging up in front of the driveway.
Yes, across the street on Warsaw, yes.
So, once that digging started, all of a sudden now, my first floor toilet is bubbling over.
From my understanding, I had a conversation with Mike, the lateral for that comes out the back of the house, turns down the hill, and comes over onto George Street, so it doesn't stand the reason that was affected by any of the digging, unfortunately. I believe Mike or James, I believe James was out there, but he was
Yeah,
talking.
James, the younger guy with the
yes,
big beard,
he was
yeah.
talking with Mike, and Mike advised they have it cambered, or that could be, is there any trees or bushes or anything else old?
No, I had it cambered. When I had the first incident of it, my stepdaughter lives in that apartment. So she was telling me she's standing in the bathroom and the water in the toilet is raising and she's not using the water. So I had, all the one drain cleaning came out, I had him snake the line. He said he went almost 150 feet out. Didn't come back with anything. The snake went out, came back in. That was on a Monday. That Friday afternoon, same thing, but I got hundreds of gallons of water out of that first floor toilet into the basement, clean water,
So,
when no one was using it. No one was upstairs and no one was using it
If the
downstairs.
sewer backed up, it wouldn't be clean water.
it wouldn't be clean water.
Okay, and I don't know what caused it.
So, that's on the first floor. When you staked it from the clean out down in the cellar, did you check any of the lines going up? Because wherever that toilet connected, if there was something clogging it from the clean out to that toilet right there, if there's something in the house in that line, did you explore that? Did he?
Going down from that toilet.
Yeah.
Well, the toilet flushed. The toilet flushed afterwards. So, if the clog was between the clean out and the toilet, I don't know why the water would come up through the toilet.
Yeah.
But the problem with the second time that it did it, and like I said, there were hundreds of gallons of water came out of the toilet, out of the bowl, and no one was flushing. So I had all one come back out. He ran the camera down the line this time. Now, when you go out the back of the house underneath the driveway, the camera saw a connection to my sewer line underneath the driveway before it takes a left and goes. I don't know what's connecting to that sewer line, but he said that there's an inlet. When he comes out of the house, there's an inlet from something. And, I mean, they're trying to figure out what's making it do it, because he ran the camera all the way down. He found some light roots out in the backyard.
Yep.
And some more light roots closer to the street, but nothing clogging it. And it's not like somebody flushed the toilet and all of a sudden, 2.5 gallons of water came out.
But if he cameraed the line and it was clear, stands the reason that water is coming from in the house. Because if it's clear that it's not coming,
Curious where that other lateral is though.
there's no
Yeah,
water coming back up
if
the
there's
pipe.
another line,
it's
where's that
clear.
line coming from?
And he's back up
I assume-
for
I
a
assume-
driveway.
I don't know where the water's coming from. I just know, like, when I helped mop up the bathroom and all the water in the basement, it wasn't sewer water. It wasn't stinky water. But all that water came up through the bowl, not from the tank, not from the pipe in the wall. It
After
came
wet
up,
weather?
no. And it was,
Home when it happened.
yeah, my
She was
stepdaughter
helpless.
was in the bathroom frantically calling me on the phone saying, I'm standing here and the toilet is overflowing all over the place. So, I mean, I'm almost $900 into all one to find out that, there was nothing on the snake and nothing on the camera. And I don't know that it's a problem, with the lines. I don't know what caused it. It hasn't happened again since. I don't know if it has anything to do with whatever that inlet's from or where it's coming from. That hasn't happened since we've owned the house, since 2018. I've never had that happen.
That's unusual that something, usually what's coming up through the bowl is
Yeah, I had
dirty and nasty.
I had one of those before.
Yeah.
I was there when it happened.
It doesn't make sense, though, if it comes out, when it turns to a right to the Warsaw, the grade, the pitch doesn't make sense of why that would be there.
Yeah, and I don't understand that whole concept, because the retaining wall is 6 feet high at the end of the driveway. I don't know how deep the pipe is once it gets to that backyard before it takes a left to George Street. But that's a steep downshot to get to that lawn, and I don't know what that inlet is from. They went to the neighbor's house and tried to knock and see if anybody was home, because they wanted to try to, have them put some water down the drain, see if that was the
Coming from
water
the neighbor's
coming
house.
in. So I don't know what that inlet's from. All one has it videoed. And like I said, hasn't happened again since, but I just kind of wanted to put it out there in case,
Get the videos so we can
See if you
see.
can get a video. They usually
Yeah,
have-
if he could send us the videos over to Jen, maybe Mike can do some research in the area or something, because that doesn't make sense of why that
No.
would be there, that it's,
Cause that camera tells you how many feet out when they found that, so.
yeah, it was at like 93 feet, I think, when they found the light roots. The inlet is right, like I said, right when it comes out of the house under the driveway.
if we had that and our new pipe locator should be in another week or so, we can maybe explore the area and see if there is something. I'm at a loss.
Yeah, and I
That
just
doesn't
didn't,
sound, that doesn't sound right at all.
I didn't know what, like I said, I don't know what could be flushing into that line, whether, again, I didn't know if it had anything
You're
to
saying it's
do.
clean, it was clean water.
Well,
You
I
know the
mean,
difference
what was
between
all
water
over
and
the
sewage.
floor, and yeah, it didn't smell like
It
sewer
wasn't
water.
sewage, yeah.
And I didn't know if it had anything to do with that, you know, if there's any kind of bypass or a flush or anything that's on those hydrants that would cause like hundreds of gallons of water to go down into the sewer for some reason. But like I said, it wasn't, I mean, they were asking me about, you know, vents for the plumbing and stuff. I'm like, no, this isn't from one flush. I have 2 inches of water in the basement from this overflowing. And then we shut the water all down, and by the time I got to the house, I plunged the toilet, it went down, you know, without a problem. And I wish I hadn't, because the guy's like, I wish you didn't plunge it, then I could have put the camera down to see if I saw anything, because by the time they got there, the water was flowing.
again, yeah.
But it wasn't like there was a big clump. And I'm pretty, you know, good about reminding all the tenants, no baby wipes and all that, because I had that problem down the street with the prior tenants, and
If the package says
nobody's
flushable,
using
yeah.
baby wipes, nobody's, you know, pouring anything down the toilet that's not supposed to be there. And like I said, they didn't find a clog when they snaked it or when they ran the camera down. And let's hope it never happens again. I just kind of wanted to put it out there,
Yeah, it's on our
so,
radar.
so in case I gotta go bother Jen some more.
Might be worth, it might be worth,
I'm curious about what that lateral is, but
might be
also
a test location for your new pipe locator.
find that. But also, I'm wondering, because he looked at the lines, if there was something after the toilet, but before the clean out, it was clogged in there, and when you released it, but you said it happened twice, or just that one time?
It happened on a Sunday afternoon, all one came out on Monday, and then it happened again that Friday. And the Friday one was 10 times worse than Sunday. And both times, nobody was using the bathroom. So, yeah, and,
Shouldn't be clean water.
And-
No matter what comes out of the toilet, it should not be clean water.
And all your laundry, if I'm correct, is in the basement,
no, there's a second floor,
as your laundry.
there's a second floor
But
washing machine, but like I
Even water
said,
coming out of that is gonna be full of soap.
nobody was
Gonna be gray.
nobody was upstairs using it at the time. And certainly it wasn't like the draining of there's a front loader washer upstairs, so it only holds a couple of gallons of water at a time. And like I said, the water that
camera.
went through the floor into the basement, by the time I got there was 2 inches of water in the basement, covering 3/4 of the floor. So that's several hundred gallons probably.
But yeah, if you could get the video over to Jen, we'll give it to Mike.
Yeah, I
we'll grab
had reached out to them last week because they were supposed to email it to me and they didn't. But I watched it while they were doing it, and Blake, that works for them, said.
Mike has a relationship, like Mike,
I've
Is-
talked to them
is-
too,
is-
so
yeah.
I'll reach out and see.
yeah.
Okay, yeah, that's a puzzler. We'll figure that out.
And that's why, and I know the whole clean water thing is confusing to it, but that's why I didn't know if it was.
Clean water doesn't come out of a toilet bowl.
No,
No, it just, that's,
yeah, I get it. I'm glad it was, you know, I'm glad it wasn't
Yeah.
dirty water, because like I said,
yeah,
we
coming from
had that
something,
problem before with a clogged line down the street.
right.
But yeah, it wasn't like that. It was, whatever was in that line
Jetting
that
in
came
the
back
neighborhood or
up.
anything, were they?
We'll have them look at it.
Yeah.
We'll figure it out.
They weren't jetting in the neighborhood, were they? That's not gonna put that kind of water through it either. Okay. Well,
As for, I'll bring this up because we did do it for other customers during the time. If there was ones, I did the volume, when I had to have, there was multiple houses during that time, I had to flush their lines, and we did with credit or abatement or whatever else for the 2 days of constant water use.
Yeah.
I would ask that we at least relieve him of that situation.
Okay.
Because it's only fair, because we did a couple other ones.
Yeah.
We'll figure out the amount, and
Yeah.
we'll bring it up.
So,
That's not a problem. Okay.
Okay,
2 days of flushing through a garden hose, I can do the math out.
right.
It won't be substantial, but at least we did that for other people, so
Yeah.
it'd be only fair.
Yeah.
No, I appreciate that.
Okay.
But it'd be great if we could figure out a solution.
Yeah, like I said, Jen will contact you.
And
I'll
we'll
with her.
get on the contractor tomorrow about the driveway, the berm at the end of the driveway.
Yeah, I didn't know if they were coming back for a top coat, and I'm just like, no, just wait, they're probably gonna come back and add some more in the,
Well, the finished pavement is done, but they have another project in town, so they'll be around for a while still.
yeah. Yeah, I had 2 different engineers I spoke to, brought them over to the house, showed them what was going on. The guy that was running the road crew, I've talked to them a couple times. Like I said, last year, I was there constantly
I think Andrew talked to you one day.
bugging everybody. And I think Jen probably sees me coming down the hall and says, oh, no,
Nah.
here we go.
Roll the door down,
No.
yeah?
Nope.
Okay,
All right, I appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Yeah, we're okay for now. So we gotta replace that whole air unit.
okay,
Big commotion.
Potash Brook Sewer Interceptor. I guess so that everybody on the board is up to date. When the contractor to do this, Ty and Bond contracted with a contractor to do soil sample boring for the length of that project. And when they did that, they were hit with a road opening fee of about $1,200. In order to keep moving on it, they paid it. And they're looking for reimbursement for it because it wasn't in the contract. Georgia, you had a conversation with the town administrator, and what came of that?
I told him all town projects were agreed that we would not pay any type of road opening or opening permits for that. So he was looking back at, whose notes on that
Yep.
kind of thing. So I also talked to MJ about it too. So that was kind of the agreement made, so that's,
So what about the permit fee that's already been paid?
we have to get a copy of it, and I'll give it to John and go over it with him.
Okay, so we either need to reimburse at least in my opinion, we either need to reimburse the contractor or the town needs to reimburse the fee. Whichever.
We have the agreement, it should be the town.
But, okay. I did some other results, but, I did some other research, but, we'll just leave it at that for now. Anything else on that project? I know that it's moving along. They're on schedule, actually, there was an email, a long email that came out from, with updates to all the projects, and everything is on schedule. They're getting ready to start on the next stage of that. There was some other part of the project that they were gonna be doing.
Soil borings are complete, boring logs will soon be completed. They'll have a preliminary design meeting and site walk to confirm design choices, anticipated early September.
Oh, I know what the other thing was. They're also having an issue when they come off of the easement onto Fairview with the property owner over there. I guess he's harassed. I don't know if harassing is the right word, but he's called out the contractors about working out there. I don't know if we need to go the route of a cease and desist, or what needs to happen so that, because there's gonna be a considerable amount of work over the next couple of years through that easement. And I'm anticipating that they're gonna see continued surveillance by the property owner. I don't know what our legal options are.
We could go with the attorney, but they have this within the easement right now, so they're safe right now. They've had a police officer with them anyway, just because of the situation there, so they're safe on that. So any complaints or problems, he's there. But for future work, you're always gonna be having equipment and stuff outside the easement or whatever. So, I mean, it would be good to find out from the town attorney what the options there are, or what we can do to safeguard their work environment.
Now, this is for the work going on for the interceptor?
Interceptor. Well, once they come out of our, the progress section of the easement out onto Fairview, the property owner there. I know I was walking out there one day with them. A while back, we were looking at potential routes for the water main. And he stopped and questioned us.
Well, I'd read chapter 187, section 5 of Mass General Law. So if you read through that, that'll give you an understanding that even if it's a private road, we have the right to go through for utility work.
Chapter 187,
Section 5.
section
Next time
5.
you're down there, bring a copy with you.
I would have them also delineate exactly the easement, the barriers of the easement as they go through, just so everybody knows, hey, we're, you know, this is where
But
it is.
even still, okay. That's, okay, other tie and bond correspondence, again, there's updated meetings, that was all in that email. Pretty thorough, it was pretty thorough.
Everything's pretty much on track. I'm just seeing if there's anything out of the ordinary. The Stevens Mill project, a neighborhood meeting is scheduled for August 14th.
Oh, okay, that was the other, yep. August 14th at the, in the parking lot of
Dollar General.
Dollar General, does it say what time?
I don't have that. I know that it was mentioned.
It was 6 or 6:30, if I remember what it
It's
was.
in the
It's in the
evening.
evening. I
Okay,
just don't
good.
remember the time, but I'm sure there'll be information put out and letters were going out and everything, so.
So, but yeah, that project is, I know I've gotten a number of questions from folks.
So what people need to remember is that it's part of the MassWorks grant, and we're not handling that.
Right.
It's being handled by the town administrator's office. They're the ones who, in the planning, they were the ones overseeing it, but as of right now, we have a temporary planner. So it's through the town administrator's office. We get information. We're not in the planning or behind the scenes. Tie and Bond is working. Yes, we use them as an engineer, but they're working from CMRPC and everything for this, so.
The only aspect of that we'll be involved in is.
Day-to-day,
is
basically.
when they put the sewer mains in.
Correct.
That, you know, inspecting. Is that correct? Okay. Water treatment plan updates?
We have the new chem pumps in, they're working well. Reduced some of our gassing, not all of it, but that's to be expected with chlorine. The change order for the platform to change the bag filter is scheduled, I believe, for September-ish, October-ish.
Okay.
And once that's done, they actually stopped by today and changed out one of the locks. There's a couple real minor punch list things. Nothing major. Winston has been very good. We've been happy with them. And
A piece of equipment came in?
yep, that's in. And the only other thing is, unfortunately, because of timing, when Polito seeded the area, it was just later in the season. It didn't take that well. It's expected that they're gonna have to reseed again, so.
Are they gonna reseed, or?
It's they're under obligation. They have to do their first cut, and they have to reestablish.
Okay. Okay. Okay, number 9, social media ruling. Back on the 25th, I believe, of July, Bob sent over an update from KP Law that he received. I asked the selectman on Monday night, just as an elected person, why this hasn't been forwarded to other elected personnel, but basically there was a ruling about social media accounts and what an elected person with authority has for protections as to what you can say and not say. If you start talking, for example, it came out of someone, a town administrator or town manager in Michigan, who was talking about his job, talking about official stuff on his personal Facebook page. Somebody trolled him and started, being obstinate and posting things about, it was about COVID-19, about different things, and was unruly on the site. So he took his account and he blocked the guy. Well, the guy sued, went all the way to the Supreme Court and said, if you're using it as for official information, then you have certain protections, but if you're using it for official use, then it's an official site, which makes it public. That's the way I read it. I guess the town administrator is working on a policy to deal with this. As he can, all the personnel policies apply to full-time employees, or full-time and part-time employees. I don't believe they have any legal standing for elected personnel. Usually it's smart to abide by them, but it did get forwarded to everyone. Actually, Bob sent it to everyone. I suggest everyone read it, familiarize yourself with it, and use it to determine how you want to use your personal social media sites. And for those in the public who constantly send barbs about why we won't respond on social media, this is one of the reasons why.
Me, George, and Jen can't.
Yes, you are bound by,
I can't.
you are bound by the town.
As much as I would always
policies.
love to respond,
You're-
clarify a couple things.
Your
The
social media,
misinformation.
you are bound to the social media policy. We are not, as I
Smart
understand it.
enough not to.
And then the reason we don't is all in this. If anybody wants a copy of it, just ask for it, and I think we will
Know how to answer it.
give it out. It's public information, so. In any case, thank you for sending it out. I don't know why we didn't get it. In any case. All right. Fund zone request, is there anything more on that?
Still waiting for the information of the usage and more details.
Okay.
Table.
Keep it as a budget review. I know we've got some, Jen provides us with paper copies of the budget every month, so it makes it easier to read. We're on month one, so,
You'll see that retirement is over.
retirement is over, and what was the reason for that?
We did not get the numbers.
That's one of the numbers that's,
So we didn't get last year's numbers till after the budget was already set for this year. So I didn't get the bills for the retirement until, technically it was the beginning of July for fiscal year '24.
okay.
So we based the retirement, we increased it, but
Plus
we.
10%,
So sorry?
plus 10%.
Correct, and it was actually more than that, but we did not know that because we didn't know what the numbers were for '24. So now this year, he has given it to us the first month. This year's, he's taken right away,
Who is he?
the treasurer.
Treasurer collector. So I,
Get the information from the treasurer.
Not until later. That we could, that the budget could be based off of.
okay,
Do we
and
take
I,
advantage of the discount, paying that early?
We did now,
So, because if you pay that like the first week in July, you can.
correct. So that's why he gave it to me right away. He wanted to get the discount. But last year, I don't know there, whatever happened, we did not get it till the very end of the fiscal year.
So we didn't get to take advantage of a discount that we could have saved money on our budget. Which is available every year, because I
Correct.
exercise that right every year.
Correct. And so now we're over.
I know at Monday's meeting, they talked about the fact that they were looking to close the books and contact the town auditor to do that. When the town auditor comes and talks, this is something that should be told to them. This cannot be an
Town
appropriate way to
auditor.
do things.
The town auditor has never come and spoken with me. They've requested information once in the 5 years that
Typically, they don't
come.
talk to departments.
Yeah, they don't talk to.
They're just making sure
individual
everything went where it's supposed to in procurement.
Well, the fact that
So-
we're budgeting, we're putting out budgets that are
departments. I did speak.
just guesses
I did
is
speak
not
with the new
appropriate.
town accountant today.
Okay,
She had some questions about things from the last fiscal year, and we talked about things that occurred last fiscal year and this fiscal year, so she is aware of things as well.
okay.
But this is $14,500 that we're behind budget now, so other parts of the budget have to suffer.
Correct.
Yes,
And we set rates based on numbers that we had to guess because we weren't given information that we needed.
so this,
I just wanted you to see that we're paid, but we're over.
everything else is within,
Correct.
Maybe you should
what's this,
register it.
reverse 911,
That's paid in full.
paid in full, okay.
Did we get reimbursed last year?
We did.
We did get reimbursed for that, yes. So we paid that. Everything else is within, what's that, 17% debt service, okay, so, but that's not an every month thing anyways. What about Webster payments? We worked out all right on that?
We are, yep, I'm waiting for more information from Webster as we're going forward, but we are.
Okay, and the other report we have here is revenues, I'm sure?
So it's what we took in for the first commitment. I forgot what else I put on there. The revenues and what's been leaned as of last year. What's outstanding for fiscal year '24, what's outstanding for fiscal year '25, which again, the bills just went out,
Yeah,
just
so
going out, so.
the outstanding for 25 right now would be
Right.
high.
And what was leaned on 12/23, just so you have an idea of how much was leaned. And they're all attached here, but I did the little overview, and I'm gonna try to do that every month. If there's anything else you wanna see, I can try to look.
And this is just the last page of,
Yeah, I don't.
page 34 of 34, that just gives us the
Yep.
totals.
And
And the
then-
last couple of people that are,
Yeah, that's just how Vadar does it.
and those aren't necessarily overdue, they're just bills that are, okay. So right now, we have outstanding balance of 1.019 million.
Well, if you combine the 2 years, no, it's 1.2.
Oh, yes. Okay. But it's gonna be high right now anyways.
Exactly.
because of-
It'll
Okay,
change after September 12th.
what's that?
The due date is September 12th.
Okay.
For the bills, so it should change.
Yes. Okay, have those bills actually gone out yet?
They should be going out.
I don't think we've received them.
I don't know. I know Unipay people received them when I closed them out.
Okay.
But the treasurer wasn't sending them out till I thought it was like this week that they. he
Okay,
said
maybe they're
they-
going out this week. I know I
I
haven't
thought he
received
said
mine
they'd
yet.
be, people would be receiving them this week, but I could be
Okay,
wrong.
all right. Any questions on that?
Just to clarify what's outstanding is we have basically almost 10% of our budget not paid
From last year.
from last year.
From last year.
Actually, it's more than that because we had a substantial increase in debt this year, so you're actually over 10%.
So you see who has not paid,
Yes, I can.
so we can do shut off now?
If you so choose to, I can, I just didn't print the whole list this time, but I can gladly,
See all the-
yeah. Yeah, just because it's, but I mean, if you want me to, I can, for the next I'll have the list and you can decide what you'd like to do.
How long of a list is it?
4 pages.
Was that one 34?
That was page 34 of 34.
34 pages. Yep.
Those are just outstanding right now. Some of those aren't overdue, right?
I can do it by,
An aging
thank you.
report? An
So
aging
sorry.
report, yeah.
Yeah, I can do an aging report, which will show you, but, I can print you the lien list too, you can,
So It's whoever got demanded, because you have to demand.
correct.
Right.
So you tell me what you want to see and I'll have it for you. I have no problem. I just wanted to give you a little overview of what's going on. And it's a little, when you see, I get this,
Well, 10%, what do we raise rates by? If we're
Right.
collect that 10%, that's 10%
Right.
less we gotta raise rates.
correct,
I
and,
understand Rich's theory of, if we just don't collect 10% every year, you end up collecting the other 10% from the previous year, but,
and almost 150,000 leaned,
yeah.
and that's just last year. I didn't, dig, I can do a deeper dive if you want.
Right. And
Well, yeah, definitely, if there's years before.
Find out how much.
And then I don't know,
the liens before, I think it was like 175. The
What?
two or three previous years were like 175.
And then I don't
When do
know.
they get paid off?
and that's, I don't know, like,
Mortgage companies used to pay them, they stopped doing that. because
Yes.
of the way the market's been, but they used to, the mortgages, if you had a mortgage, they would pay it off, and then they'd add it.
And then they'd add it to the mortgage, right?
But they're not doing that so much anymore, and if they don't have a mortgage, then they don't get paid at all.
and I know, just from looking throughout the past years, that there are the same names
It's
that
always the same.
that get leaned every year, because it used to
They
just
don't
roll
have-
into,
yeah.
right,
So if someone doesn't have a mortgage, I'll use myself. I don't have a mortgage.
correct.
And I just decide to stop paying.
It'll go to your real estate.
It'll lean to my real estate tax.
Correct.
So then it becomes a part of my real estate tax bill.
Correct.
When do we get paid by the town of Dudley?
Not till the
Because
town-
it becomes a tax bill,
Not
then it's no
until,
longer ours.
not until that, so we don't get paid, from my understanding, we do not get paid until that tax bill gets paid, because there's interest that accrues on it, but I do not know if we get paid the interest, how does the interest get split up?
We should be getting
Right, but I don't know, like, I apologize, but I don't know how it gets split up.
As I understood, and I believe, as I understood it, if I remember hearing it right, we get paid, when the bill gets paid, we get paid first. The liens get paid first. But if we have to wait until that bill gets paid, that could be years.
You know,
Do we know if Rich moves forward with tax takings or anything else?
I haven't seen any,
Haven't heard of any in a while.
no,
Because you
not
can put a
really.
lien on it, and if they still don't pay it, if he doesn't move forward with a tax taking, then they could just say,
And they just let it pile up and it gets paid off when the property gets sold.
So what would you like for reports for next month? Do you want an aging report?
Yes,
yes.
for sure.
Do you want the list of who's been leaned?
Please.
Yeah.
Aging report, lien report.
Gonna have to cancel those vacations.
Oh, no, it'll be done before then, don't you worry.
The liens don't go in place until the following year, basically.
Right.
Right.
Right,
Yeah, it hangs out there for a year.
right, so these were December 12/23. Well, it was December 23rd,
Right. So that was anything prior to June 30th.
correct.
Right. So those bills are a year old already.
Yeah.
And then they're getting leaned, and then we're still waiting until,
Where, what is the official, like, how late then you can start the shut-off process.
So you gotta give them 30 days to pay the bill.
Yep.
Then you give.
A demand.
You gotta do, I'm not sure if we give the 2 weeks grace period before we
Yeah.
start issuing
2-week
demands.
grace period, yeah, we had that.
So you got 14 days, and then you issue demands. And then I think it's 14 days they have to pay that.
Yep.
And
No, it's
then, right
2
after
months.
that, we can send a shut-off notice. If it's a multifamily property, then we have to send notices to each of the, we have to post it at each of the doors of the multifamily.
Locations, okay.
Because the multifamily units have the option of paying the debt or the bill and taking it off of their rent. So you have to give them that option.
Okay,
And we go do the markouts.
So it's basically 2 months out.
okay.
Roughly, yeah.
So I'll give you an aging list and put it on the agenda for next month. Well, it's obviously on, and you can decide what you want me to do from there, absolutely. Because it's a lot of outstanding money.
Right.
Yeah.
And where we're starting off, like you said, we're starting off 14,000.
And you're not helping anybody by letting them
No.
stack up their bills. It just gets harder.
It's harder and harder to pay them off, and unless somebody, and then if folks are just playing the game, and just let it lean to property tax and then pay it then, and they keep their money longer, well, that's not doing us any favors. It's making it harder for us to do business.
Probably get to claim it as a tax write-off if they use it as a property tax, so.
Mhm.
Yep. So, we'll do that, okay. I'll have those for you.
Shut-off policy for non-payment, look at that. Boy, you were thinking when you set up the agenda. Shut-off policy for non-payment. We do have a policy for that. Do we have a policy for that?
Not for non-payment, I don't think.
No, we had.
It's old. It's really old.
Yeah, we haven't done an updated shut-off for non-payment. We did shut-off for other things,
Right.
but not for the non-payment. So that's why I just wanted clarification. Do you have to have a policy?
I would put a policy in place.
It's good, right?
Because I think that if you're shutting off for non-payment, the fee should be higher for the off and on.
So if I do up a little one, I'll send it to you for your review, and please, I'm just gonna put the basics of what you told me, and we'll go from there, and I'll have it so that you guys can review it next meeting.
That sound good?
Vote on it.
Do you have one?
Uh,
Do you want to send me a copy of that, please? And I'll just go backwards, that would be better. I don't know why I didn't think of that first.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, we
Little
do have something, but it's really,
Sorry.
I think it's really old and outdated.
Yeah, it's a long day, so.
I think it has his mother's name on it. What's your mother's name?
Standard operating procedures. So,
Diane's policy.
yeah. So, standard operating procedures. We were on a little bit of a roll in getting our policies updated, getting some of the stuff that's been just practice that's become policy in writing. We were doing like an extra meeting each month for that. I'd kind of like to get started with that again. Having a meeting, if not every month, but a couple, every other month or so, just to work on policies and getting that policy book updated and modernized. Does anybody have an objection to that? We start after September, I would think, after Labor Day.
And I don't know if you want to have a second one, or if we just at least bring one up at
Add
this meeting.
a policy, have a
If
policy.
it's a simple
each.
one, we might be able to get right through it. And
Yep.
If it's a more difficult one, we can have a separate meeting.
Yeah, 'cause we
Okay.
can- we can always put it on the agenda, and if it.
Right.
Just put it last on the agenda, and if it's,
If it's a longer meeting like this, then
Yeah, we can come up with,
Table it.
we can come up with a,
And post another meeting.
something that needs to be, some from our old,
Yeah.
at least the people have a chance to look at it ahead of time, that way.
that old dog-eared,
Yep.
typewritten
Oh, yeah.
policy stuff that just needs to be modernized. Bulk water policy pricing, has there been any more work on?
I have not heard back. I sent the information that we had discussed, and I've heard nothing back.
Sent it to,
The emailer who inquired about it.
oh, yes, okay.
I spoke to the father of the email of the company just today, and I asked about that, so should be getting back to me with something.
Yeah, I haven't heard. He said he was going to figure out his costs, because I gave him everything,
Oh, yes, okay, all right.
and,
Took me a second to remember.
long day.
Yep.
And he'll get back to me.
This is someone buying bulk water from us?
Yes, it's looking to purchase a large amount.
They did want to fill a
Yeah.
washing pond.
They were looking for anywhere from
Houses of gallons of water.
250,000 to 750,000 gallons.
No, you were in Florida.
No,
That's right.
just for total.
Yeah, I can tell you about
Fill
it.
basins.
So I don't know,
After this weekend, they probably won't need it anymore.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's something you want to look into further. You thought about coming up, there was discussion about coming up with a policy for it.
Yes, that's one of those things that
Okay.
needs to be, I mean, it doesn't happen very often, but
It's good to
if somebody
have
wants to fill a
something.
swimming pool, if we have the capacity to be able to sell that water, why not? I don't know.
This
I don't
was,
know.
this is
That's
for,
something to
this
discuss.
this was for a tanker that our liability along with it is reduced.
Right.
If we run a hose into somebody's above-ground pool and they did it themselves, they got it free online and they put it up and then we put it over the side and it crushes it. I don't know how we would
We stopped
do
doing that practice. We're
that. This,
No, and that's where we would have to have a discussion about that.
So, this was basically just for the time being, the initial pricing. It was gonna be a 2-inch meter onto a hydrant, and a 2-inch meter was X amount for a month, and we were gonna prorate it to 1 month usage of the meter plus our tiers, because that's the only thing we could go
Yes.
by. I would just suggest that it may be the practice, but we automatically go to tier 3, because it's
Right.
discretionary water use, at least.
Yeah,
Tier 3.
I mean, it's not gonna make that much difference in the cost. Those first 2 tiers are not a ton of water,
No, but
Yeah, I think it should be a different rate altogether.
it could very well be, but we
No,
need to
no.
discuss it more.
I don't have a problem, but I'm just saying that what we could figure out right then and there, because at the time, our understanding was, that time was of the essence, but they wanted to get it done quicker,
Right.
sooner than later.
Right,
So, well, technically, you have a connection, you pay for the connection for a month, and you pay for your water that you take. So,
okay, policy for personnel. What is that?
I don't know. Somebody asked me to put it on, and I don't recall. So,
Sure wasn't part of the original policy.
no, it was.
I know we were looking at a code of conduct kind of thing.
I thought it all went into the Facebook business or something.
There was something else, and I don't remember. Sorry. I
Okay?
guess it'll come back
Say
to
we
me.
table that
and
one.
We'll put that on another
We'll
time.
come back to her while she's on vacation. Yeah.
Yeah, you know what it was, personnel taking vacations.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Okay, those all old business,
Nothing on the indirects,
he said he was gonna come back in September, so.
right, so I have just been waiting to hear.
Okay. Anything on vehicle?
Still working with place motors. People aren't giving away their used cars, so
Oh, I just bought one.
it's very hard to find one, but they're still trying for us, so.
Okay. Superintendent's report.
I'm
I'll
sure
be
you
honest, I
guys,
just didn't have a chance to read it, so.
oh, well, there's nothing, right now, we're gonna have a busy season for sewer because of the project down on Mill Street. Somebody's gonna be dedicated to that, make sure, identify the water lines, the sewer lines, mark out the sewer lines, in case they hit something to be there, so that's gonna take one man away for quite a while.
So who's paying for
Or we're,
Read my mind. We are?
we are gonna be paying, they're not paying us to have a guy there. That's our policy, is to have somebody there whenever working on water pipes, sewer
that?
pipes.
That's our policy, but it shouldn't be at our expense for their project, especially
especially since the whole sewer thing wasn't even run by the water and sewer department to begin with.
Well, you can let it go, or, you know, if something goes wrong, because we had that issue on Charlton Road when it wasn't properly observed, and we ended up going back there on that big fiasco, because the pipe collapsed, because it wasn't properly set.
Right.
and bedded. I don't want to see that happen again. And they're gonna be going through a lot of spaghetti down there in Mill Street, in that whole area, including water.
Talking about a good amount of time, and with Dow employees as it is.
I don't know what to tell you. I mean, I can, you don't want to put them down there? I don't have to put them down there, but
No, it needs
it needs
to be
attention,
someone
but-
there, whether it's, I think it should be,
we commonly, when we did all the projects in the streets, that was under the water or sewer. They took care of the bill for that. That's the way it's always been going. All of a sudden, you want to change it to charge them, you'll have to go talk about it at one of the meetings. Because that's going to end up coming, I mean, they have a certain budget too. And
Yeah, we've never billed anybody for that before.
if
but-
there's any other place I
Has
could
there
try
been
to,
inspection and oversight, and has there been
Yeah.
sewer projects that were done outside of the sewer department?
The last one was from IPG to Webster. Ran through town.
That
and-
wasn't our stuff, that wasn't
Well,
on our
no,
sewer,
No,
had nothing to do with us, this is on our sewer department.
it's, yeah.
And is there a sewer extension permit for this?
I have nothing yet.
They're extending the sewer, are they not?
No,
I
they're-
heard they're leaving the existing sewer, and they're running another one, which just adds that much more I that we have to deal with. It's stupid to run a sewer next to an old sewer, they should eliminate the old sewer and run a new sewer.
the problem becomes is those houses connected in on the driveways and porches and all this other stuff, and as they go, then the disconnects will happen. But until that time, that's what they're forced to do. You know, that's why the whole area was marked as an area to try to get a sewer main put in properly, so we
They're
don't.
not doing it properly.
They're not
Adding
doing,
sewer and
they're
leaving
not, they're
old
not
sewer,
doing it
that's not-
completely. They're not doing it completely.
They're doing it in a manner to try to save themselves as much money as they can, and they're leaving you with the headaches.
Well, whatever happens, we are gonna come out better, it's one way or the other, at least that way. So we are making progress to fix it. And it's a grant, so what am I gonna do, turn it down?
Grant payers for our guy to be down there?
No, not,
We pay observers to do all the work that we had done. We paid the engineers to observe and
We pay
inspect to
for
make sure stuff was
police
done
details to oversee the area.
correctly. So why are we not requiring it on a project that somebody else is doing in our system? That's just stupid. Makes no sense whatsoever.
the engineers don't know about all the hidden pipes in there, and all the pipes run across and stuff, and we do. And Mike
I
does,
understand.
so,
Okay.
like I said, you don't have to
I
have them if you
agree
don't want
We should be
them.
down there. I totally agree with that. But we should be compensated because it's not our project.
Bring it up in a meeting and see where it goes. I mean, it's not been a past practice, but whatever you wanna do, I don't care. You know?
Now we're looking
Now-
at taking that man off the job, so something happens, we're gonna call in somebody from highway because you don't have this guy. Now we're paying highway to do whatever. I mean, it's gonna be more money on us.
Are you saying we have extra staff that we're paying that we don't really need?
No, what I'm saying is I'm in a rut and I have to have somebody there in that spaghetti pile of mess down there. That's the bottom line. I've dug down in there and seen all that stuff. It ain't pretty. I've got gas everywhere, water mains that I had to have remarked out and figured out how they go, because they're irregular.
Well, the water main should be, well.
Yeah, no, but they have to be
on-
identified.
On Village, they should be, they've already known because it's new.
But the mill has all crossovers and stuff
Got
going
all
through
kinds of
there.
pipes over there.
All sorts of mess there.
There's a tunnel under the road, there's pipes going over to where the old building used to be, there's pipes that come across and go through the parking lot of that building that's across the street.
Okay,
There's a ton of stuff there that nobody has any idea what's there.
well, we're gonna find it. It's what's under the roadway.
I highly suggest you avoid getting that tunnel.
Oh, yeah, I remember the tunnel.
Stuff in that tunnel you don't
Yep. Seen it.
Well, it's, where it's not our project, it won't be our problem. All right, anything else on the superintendent's report?
No.
What are we doing about, Northeast Geotech?
I've got a meeting with Joel, his assistant, and Scott. So we'll be continuing on with them.
Did we ever get anywhere with the aquifer protection?
Jay was working on that and had a report coming up, and now we,
Yeah.
anyways, they'd be going with Joel and that, so I'm gonna have to have a meeting set up with him coming up so we can, and we were doing the project over at the rail trail for drilling, for testing the water, and over by Station 3, drilling a new test well over there to test the water coming by Ethan Allen.
We were attempting to identify all the areas that we need to add to aquifer protection, to systematically go through and test to determine if they're viable sources. So we need to identify all the areas that are potential first, so that we can protect them before they get developed or contaminated or whatever.
Yep, he was setting that all up.
Okay. So when is that, do you have a timeline for that meeting?
Next week.
I know it's, you know, they're dealing with all of that, so.
What did I read, George, about that, the well you closed down?
Yeah, what about well 3?
That's being redone by, actually Sullivan's coming in tomorrow to put a new submersible in there.
No,
You mean well 2?
I looked at the report quick today. You're gonna use it for storage?
Oh, you're talking about the back room of
Fill it
the,
in the chemical.
Oh.
with the containment area, the containment vault for where the chemical room was, where all the tanks were.
Oh, that's.
Yeah.
There's abundance of room there for equipment and meters and storage and everything. So we're gonna, because we're getting jammed up at the main station. So we filled it in with florable and put a layer of cement, and then we'll be able to put shelving and stuff and make it a functional room.
Yeah, because you basically would walk in and 2 other sections will stay. So if, God forbid, we have to do chemical containment or storage of chemical, it's legal. And the one area where the KOH was before, it was like a 900-gallon tank, and you have to have 110% of capacity to be able to, so it doesn't leak out. We don't need that anymore, but it doesn't, it makes the area very small and also a little hazardous by walking off. So it was to fill it, then put a floor there, because we have grates over the other side. Now we can put some shelving up, put the meters there, put some valves there.
You can use them as storage.
They can actually work on meters and stuff there instead of hooking up the other place.
And that was one of
Storage.
the other reasons why we put, because it's better, but a submersible versus a turbine pump in well 6, because now it was just loud, you couldn't function in there reasonably. But now it'll be a functional extra room and storage that we have.
Why are we putting a pump in well 3?
Yeah, they're gonna put a new submersible in there. That's actually was a working pump in there with the same aquifer was coming off with number 7. We've had number 7 go down twice already. So now we'll have a full-fledged submersible in there, which will run smoother and be better because it was a collapsed well at one time. And he rebored it, was able to get us working again. It was oblong, so it kept hitting the shaft sides. So now, by that, we'll have 2 working good pumps there. Station 6, well 8, we'll be in pretty good shape for backups.
You still, well 3 listed as a viable source?
Yeah, it's still,
It's inactive, I have
Yeah.
to call Paul and.
We have
and
to still
go through
test
it
again.
And reactivate, but Frank has been straight out, and we just found out today that he's gonna be able to get over here soon. So now, next week I'll contact Paul and get it back going.
so we're also stockpiling some pumps and stuff on the shelves in case like 7 goes down again. We don't wait weeks to, because it's weeks, there's motors and there's pumps, and the motors are out there.
So,
I told you that back when we put well 7 in. You should have a spare
well,
pump.
Well, we did now.
well 7 and 3 are actually technically on the same withdrawal permit. So I could, in theory, run them both at the same time and get a little bit more volume. So at that point, once we do that, I'll have Matt come with SCADA controls and put that in with our level transmitters.
So, yeah,
And put in rotation, just so we can't have it sit. So we'll rotate it in and figure out when to do that.
we were also waiting on Matt to do the main sewer meter out in Webster, for Webster. that was waiting for this to be done so he could do everything at the same time.
Okay,
And
That was the
you
other
scheduled
thing.
time for him to do a walkthrough with Mike and the vacations, and everything else during the summer, and along with having multiple projects with him.
okay.
Don't wanna mix things up.
Okay, board comments. Bob?
No, I'm good.
Ken? You two have talked enough.
Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to adjourn, unless you have a comment. But you have anything.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?